Hey everyone, welcome back to Genai's F1 News. We've got a packed show today, so let's get straight into it. And we're kicking things off with the hottest storyline in Formula One right now, the Mercedes Civil War. According to motorsport.com, Sky Sports F1 lead commentator David Croft has issued a pretty stark warning. If George Russell does not beat his teenage teammate Kimi Antonelli at the upcoming Canadian Grand Prix, quote, alarm bells will ring inside the Silver Arrows garage. And honestly, it's hard to argue with that. Russell came into 2026 as the clear number one at Mercedes. He won the season-opening Australian Grand Prix from pole position and took the Chinese sprint race too. But since then, Antonelli, who is just 19 years old, remember, has overtaken him in the championship standings. That is extraordinary for a driver in just his second F1 season. And it's not just Crofty raising eyebrows. Also reporting on this, Motorsport.com covered comments from Sky Sports analyst and former W Series driver Naomi Schiff, who made a fascinating point about team principal Toto Wolff. She described Wolff as someone neither Russell nor Antonelli would want to cross when it comes to team orders discussions, calling him, bluntly, not someone you want to cross. That tells you everything about the pressure cooker environment building inside that garage. Montreal is shaping up to be a massive moment for Russell. Can he reassert himself? Or does Antonelli continue his fairy tale run? We'll be watching very closely. Moving on, and here's some genuinely exciting news if you're a Williams fan. And honestly, there are a lot more of those these days. Motorsport.com is reporting that Williams team principal James Vowles has confirmed a, quote, sizable upgrade package is already being prepared for the Canadian Grand Prix in Montreal. This comes off the back of Williams arriving in Miami with a substantial upgrade haul developed during that 5-week break between Japan and Florida, and it clearly worked, because they left Miami with points on the board and real momentum building. Vowles made the announcement through the team's Vowles Verdict video series, and the message was clear: the development pipeline at Grove is not slowing down. This is a team that is serious about pushing forward. And then there's Carlos Sainz, who also features in today's show, and who has been one of the more vocal critics of the 2026 regulations overall. But according to motorsport.com, Sainz has now said he is going to stop publicly criticizing the rules, even though he still privately believes they are, in his words, not good enough. The FIA made some tweaks to energy harvesting and deployment rules ahead of Miami, particularly around qualifying and race scenarios, and Sainz seems to have accepted that's about as far as it goes for now. A diplomatic shift, but you can tell the frustration is still bubbling underneath. For Williams, though, the mood is much more upbeat. Montreal, here we come. Now, if you want an insight into just how frustrated F1 drivers are with the 2026 regulations, look no further than Lando Norris. Motorsport.com is reporting that McLaren's championship leader described the recent energy management tweaks introduced ahead of Miami as a, quote, small step in the right direction, but then went much further. Norris openly said that in his view, the new rules simply cannot reach a place where drivers truly enjoy them. And his proposed fix? Get rid of the battery entirely. Now, that is obviously not going to happen. F1's regulations are locked in, and the hybrid power unit is a core part of the sport's identity going forward. But the fact that a reigning world champion is expressing this level of dissatisfaction tells you something important about how the drivers are feeling on track. The energy deployment rules have been a major talking point this season. Drivers have had to manage their power output very carefully, sometimes lifting and coasting even on qualifying laps, which is almost unthinkable in previous eras of Formula One. The Miami tweaks, made with driver input, aim to reduce that issue in qualifying at least. But for Norris, it clearly doesn't go nearly far enough. It'll be fascinating to see how this debate evolves as the season continues. The drivers are talking, the FIA is listening, but how much can actually change mid-season? That's the real question. Okay, this next one is absolutely fascinating and involves the biggest name in motorsport, Max Verstappen. Motorsport.com has an exclusive where Ford Performance Director Mark Rushbrook revealed that the American manufacturer is having, quote, regular discussions with Verstappen about potentially racing in sports cars, and specifically in their upcoming hypercar program. Ford is set to join the top class of the World Endurance Championship from 2027, which means they'll be competing at Le Mans too. And former F1 driver Logan Sargeant, who you might remember from his Williams days, has been pretty direct about what he thinks would happen if Max does join the program. Speaking to motorsport.com, Sargeant said, and I love this quote, that Verstappen is going to, quote, kick everyone's ass. High praise, and probably accurate. Now, this fits into a broader pattern we've been seeing. Also reporting on this, Autosport highlighted that the reason Verstappen is drawn to GT3 racing, which he's done alongside his F1 career, is because it gives him the chance to genuinely make a difference in a more level playing field. That insight comes from Stefan Radl, the architect of GT3 racing himself. Verstappen isn't just doing it for fun. He's doing it because the challenge is real and meaningful. Whether a full hypercar program alongside F1 is realistic remains to be seen. But the conversations are clearly happening, and the idea of Verstappen at Le Mans? That would be absolutely box office. Right, it's time for everyone's favorite segment. What has Guenther Steiner said now? And the answer this week is quite a lot. Motorsport.com has been busy covering 3 separate Steiner takes, so let's run through them. First up, Ferrari. Steiner weighed in on Ferrari's situation after McLaren's surge in competitiveness, and his view is that the Maranello team doesn't have one big problem to fix. They have multiple smaller issues. Ferrari had a strong start to 2026, with Lewis Hamilton getting on the podium at the Chinese Grand Prix, but McLaren's pace since the Miami break has put them under real pressure. Steiner's point is that when your issues are scattered and complex like that, there's no quick fix. No silver bullet. Second, Aston Martin. Steiner was blunt as ever, saying that the Silverstone outfit has, quote, no excuse for their poor start to the 2026 season. And remember, this is a team that entered the year with Adrian Newey at the helm in a technical leadership role and a brand new Honda power unit partnership. The expectations were sky high, and they haven't been met. Steiner doesn't sugarcoat it. And third, and this one is interesting for the sport as a whole, Steiner has been critical of the Miami Grand Prix stewards, calling for a time limit to be introduced on post-race penalty investigations. Multiple incidents in Miami were left hanging for a long time after the race, and Steiner argues that kind of uncertainty isn't good for anyone. It's a fair point, and one that others in the paddock probably agree with privately. Now let's take a moment away from the politics and the controversy, because this next story is genuinely lovely. Motorsport.com is reporting on a post-race moment between Ferrari's Lewis Hamilton and Alpine's Franco Colapinto that has gone down extremely well with F1 fans online. During the opening lap of the Miami Grand Prix, the two drivers made contact, with Colapinto running into Hamilton's Ferrari and causing aerodynamic damage that hampered his race throughout. Naturally, Hamilton was frustrated in the moment, but what happened after the race is what everyone is talking about. The two drivers shared what fans have described as a, quote, wholesome moment, with praise pouring in on social media for the sportsmanship on display. The tone was gracious and mature, exactly the kind of interaction that reminds you these are human beings first, racing drivers second. It's a small story in the grand scheme of the championship, but it says a lot about both drivers. Hamilton, despite all his success and the frustration of a compromised race, handling it with class. And Colapinto, who is still establishing himself at Alpine, showing real maturity in a potentially awkward situation. F1 can sometimes feel like it's all about data and politics, so moments like this are a good reminder of the human side of the sport. Good on both of them. And on that positive note, let's wrap things up for today. And that is everything for today's episode of Genai's F1 News. It has been an absolutely stacked day of stories. From the Mercedes teammate battle threatening to boil over in Montreal, to Verstappen potentially heading to Le Mans, Williams loading up on upgrades, and Lando Norris basically asking for a completely different power unit formula. The Canadian Grand Prix cannot come soon enough, and you can bet we'll have all the build-up, qualifying, and race coverage right here on the channel. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button. It genuinely helps the channel more than you know. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? Smash that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an episode of Genai's F1 News. We'll see you in the next one. Stay fast, everyone.